When Diana Gabaldon sat down for what was supposed to be a lighthearted interview on a popular literary podcast, no one, least of all the host, expected the conversation to veer into dangerous territory. The author of Outlander, who had always been fiercely protective of her cast, especially Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe, suddenly grew quiet when their names were mentioned. Her posture shifted, her fingers paused over her cup of tea, and for a few seconds she simply breathed, as though debating whether she should say what had been sitting on her chest for years. The host, sensing the tension, offered a gentle prompt. Fans have always wondered, was the chemistry between Sam and Caitríona as effortless behind the scenes as it was on screen? Diana didn't answer immediately. She looked down, then up, then finally exhaled a long, weary sigh. "There is something people don't know," she said softly. The studio froze. For nearly a decade, Sam and Caitríona had been celebrated as the perfect acting duo, a flawless partnership built on trust, admiration, and an on-screen connection powerful enough to convince millions that their characters' love was real. Fans romanticized their bond, media praised their synchronicity, and the entertainment world pointed to them as the gold standard of co-star compatibility. But beneath the polished interviews and red carpet smiles, there were moments, hidden, complicated, unspoken, that only those closest to the production ever saw. Diana had been aware of them all. She began by explaining that long-term creative partnerships, no matter how beautiful on screen, always carried friction. Spending thousands of hours together, sharing emotional scenes, working under pressure, those things inevitably created tension. But the tension she witnessed between Sam and Caitríona wasn't the ordinary kind. It had a sharpness to it, a heaviness, as though both actors were carrying more than their characters' emotions. Diana recalled one early season moment when a particularly intense scene caused the two of them to retreat to opposite corners of the set, refusing to speak to each other for nearly half an hour. They weren't angry at the script, she said. They were angry at each other. The host's eyes widened, but Diana continued. She described a night when she visited the set during one of the most emotionally demanding episodes. She remembered walking into the soundstage just as Sam and Caitríona were having a hushed but heated exchange. Their voices weren't raised, but the tension between them was unmistakable, sharp, brittle, and personal. They disagreed on how the scene should be played, Diana said carefully. But the disagreement wasn't really about acting. It was about something deeper, something that had been simmering for a while. A crew member later told Diana that after filming resumed, the two barely looked at each other, their professionalism the only thing holding the scene together. Diana also hinted at the shift that fans noticed but could never quite explain. There was a period during the middle seasons when Sam began avoiding certain joint interviews, politely excusing himself from promotional circuits where he and Caitríona would normally appear side by side. At the same time, Caitríona became noticeably more cautious whenever she spoke about Sam, choosing her words with the kind of restraint that suggested something fragile lay beneath. Fans speculated but never had answers. Diana simply watched, quietly aware of the careful dance the two actors were performing to maintain unity in public while navigating something unresolved in private. She then revealed the moment that confirmed her suspicions. During a night shoot in the Scottish Highlands, with temperatures dropping and morale low, Sam and Caitríona were asked to rehearse a confrontation scene. Diana was standing a few feet away when the rehearsal abruptly derailed. Sam dropped his lines, Caitríona stepped back, and both stood frozen, anger, frustration, and hurt flickering through their expressions. Diana described the silence that followed as the kind that makes your stomach twist. The director, sensing the tension, called for a break. But Diana saw something else. Two people battling emotions that had nothing to do with their characters. The host, speechless, finally managed to ask, "So, was it personal? Or professional?" Diana smiled faintly, her eyes carrying years of unspoken understanding. "Both," she whispered, and with that one word, she confirmed what fans had long suspected yet never fully understood. There had been an unspoken conflict between Sam and Caitríona, one powerful enough to shake even the strongest partnership, but carefully buried beneath layers of loyalty and professionalism. And the most shocking part, as Diana hinted just before moving on, was that the conflict had come dangerously close to affecting the future of Outlander itself. The moment Diana Gabaldon's interview ended, the internet erupted into chaos. Clips spread at a dizzying pace, fans dissected every second of her expression, her pauses, her choice of words. One sentence echoed louder than all others, both. It hung in the air like a question no one knew how to answer. And suddenly, the carefully constructed image of Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe's perfect partnership began to crack in the public imagination. For the first time, fans wondered, had everything been as flawless as it seemed, or had they simply witnessed an illusion perfected over the years? As Hollywood and the fandom buzzed, people who had worked behind the scenes started to speak more freely. A former assistant director held back nothing when describing one of the most unforgettable moments he had witnessed. It happened during the filming of a pivotal season, long days, colder nights, and emotional exhaustion clinging to everyone like fog. Sam and Caitríona were preparing for a scene that demanded vulnerability from both. But instead of slipping into character, they were locked in a tense debate over the tone of the moment. Sam insisted the scene required more emotional restraint. Caitríona believed it needed rawness. Their disagreement grew sharper, quieter, more intense, until finally the AD called a break just to dissolve the pressure. They weren't arguing as Jamie and Claire, he said. They were arguing as Sam and Kate. Whatever was between them, it wasn't about acting anymore. Another member of the wardrobe team recalled a fitting that left the entire room uneasy. The scene required Sam and Caitríona to stand close together, but the tension between them was so palpable that they avoided meeting each other's eyes. Even the smallest adjustments, a cloak placement, an undone button, felt like intrusions. They looked like two people trying very hard not to say what they were thinking, she explained. Like something had gone unspoken too long. During filming later that day, the distance between them fluctuated unnervingly, one moment sharp and cold, the next moment charged with a heat that seemed too real to be ignored. It was that duality, several crew members agreed, that made working with them both breathtaking and unsettling. But the real fracture point, the one Diana was rumored to have been referring to, came during a night that would later become infamous among the crew. It occurred during a major confrontation scene, one of the most emotionally draining sequences of the entire series. The script demanded grief, desperation, and a level of intensity that pushed both actors to their limits. But something in the rehearsal snapped. Sam broke character first, stepping back with visible frustration. Caitríona followed, firing back a comment that only the nearest crew members caught, and the expression on Sam's face changed instantly. Hurt, anger, confusion, whatever she had said struck deeper than she intended. The director tried to intervene, but the damage was done. Sam walked off the set, shoulders stiff, jaw clenched. Caitríona stood frozen, staring at the ground with the look of someone who had revealed too much. The rest of the crew remained silent, unsure whether they had just witnessed the collapse of television's most powerful partnership. Filming was delayed that night, an extremely rare occurrence. When Sam returned after nearly an hour, his expression was calmer but distant, and Caitríona avoided his gaze. They completed the scene flawlessly, their professionalism saving the day. But several crew members admitted later that what made that scene so breathtaking on screen was the very real pain lingering beneath their performances. And this was what Diana hinted at when she said the conflict had almost affected the future of the show. According to one producer, there was a brief period when people genuinely worried that the tension between Sam and Caitríona could derail filming. Both were too important, too central to the story. Losing even one of them would mean the collapse of the entire narrative structure. Meetings were held, private conversations took place, and a mediator, someone close to both actors, encouraged them to find a way back to the friendship that had once carried them effortlessly through even the hardest parts of filming. Slowly, quietly, they did. They rebuilt trust not through dramatic conversations but through small gestures. Sam offering Caitríona his jacket during a freezing night shoot, Caitríona checking on Sam after a grueling emotional scene, shared jokes resurfacing during script read-throughs. The tension eased, but the scar remained, faint yet permanent. Diana, in her interview, made this clear when she said, "They overcame it. But some wounds never disappear entirely." Her words struck viewers deeply. The mythology of Sam and Caitríona had always been rooted in the belief that their connection was unshakable. To learn that it had been tested, and nearly broken, changed everything. It made their performances even more astounding, their chemistry even more layered, their bond even more human. Because behind the magic of Jamie and Claire were two people navigating the complicated, fragile reality of a partnership that had been both a blessing and a burden. And as Diana hinted with a final knowing look, the real story wasn't the conflict itself, but the truth that even now, years later, certain parts of it remained unspoken.